I'm gonna pull this aside and step right here. Such a great honor to be with you. Such a great message today. It's time to stand for freedom again in the United States of America. And as I thought about everything that was said, I'm like, how can I highlight any more the importance of our Constitution? I mean, there are so many things that's important to say, but I felt like as I was sitting there, I wanted to encourage you for a few minutes. You know what you remind me of? You remind me of soldiers on the front line. You know, when you're on the front line, you have to have a little bit more courage than everybody else. You better be able to see a little bit better than everybody else, because not only are you going to be taking some shots, you better be able to hit your target where you need to. I'm in this race because I'm kind of one of these people that's just like you. I feel like you landowner rights people, I feel like you're an underdog a little bit. Does anybody here feel like you're an underdog a little bit? You know, you've got to recognize that God is on your side when you're sticking to the Constitution and when you're doing the right thing. And as Steve mentioned, when we came in this race and at the end of April, he was one of the first people I met. I'll tell you how this story got started with CO2 pipeline and why I'm here today. I joined an ethanol plant, did a tour real quick. They told me a little bit about it. And then I started going around to 99 counties. They told me at the ethanol plant how efficient it was, how it was a part of the future. And I said, that sounds great. I love progress, don't you? And then I started meeting with you one-on-one. And one by one, county by county, I had this question. Ryan, what do you think about the CO2 pipeline? And so I started looking into it. I began to look further at this Constitution, which is getting encroached upon every single day. And I came to the conclusion that they've treaded on it one more time. I had a chance in July to go up with many of the other presidential candidates, with some of the leaders at the state fair. I got invited to a nice tent, and I got to meet some of the leaders of Summit Pipeline, and they're nice folks. And they began to tell me, and I asked him this one question. I said, you've got to answer this question. How come so many people are against it? And he said, well, Ryan, 78% of the farmers are for it. And that's when I knew somebody wasn't telling the truth. I've been to all 99 counties. I said, if there's a better poller in Iowa, tell me who it is. I was the first one to hit 99 counties, and back in August, and looking upon the Constitution, I do know this. This is why I'm in this race. The United States of America is supposed to be a light post of freedom for you and me and for every citizen in our country to enjoy. And that is freedom to press, speech, to assembly, to protest, for commerce and trade. But it's also for our entire Bill of Rights, not just the first one. It's not just for the First Amendment, it's also for the fifth one. It's also for the second one, which they're going after as well. But that fifth one, we have to hold dear, because landowner rights are really the fundamental rights we have here in this nation. And when they take away your landowner rights, they're coming after everything. So that lamp of freedom is getting darkened every day. And I'm a CEO of an investment bank I co-founded about 20 years ago with my father in Dallas, Texas. I'm also a pastor. Many of you may have heard some of our messages. And it's so important that we quit giving up our freedoms in the United States of America. You know what you remind me of is you remind me of this story in the Bible about a man named Gideon. Have you heard the story of Gideon in the Bible? There was 100,000 people against him. How many of you guys feel like even the Republican Party's against you sometime? They had 100,000 against him, and Gideon had about 30,000 people on his team, but God said, hey, everybody that's afraid, go away. And all of a sudden, boom, 20,000 are gone. And then he left him with about 300, and the 300 are the ones that were looking up and aware of what was happening. And this is what I want to encourage you to do today. Keep looking, keep standing, don't give up. Don't let the weight of the army come up against you. You've got to fight to fight. You're on the front lines, folks, not just for Iowa. You're on the front lines for Illinois, for South Dakota. You're on the front lines for the United States of America, and you have to stand and stand strong. Don't give up. I want to tell you something. Your First Amendment rights were not granted to you by committee. They're not granted to you because 90% of the people in your neighborhood think you should have a freedom of speech. Why is it that now laws are being talked about? Well, if 90% of my neighbors think I should have landowners' rights, then I can have them. But if they don't, then I don't. What is that? You are not given your constitutional right by committee. You are given it individually. You must stand for it and stand for it now. Freedom is what we're standing for. We have to have it. And I'm an economist. I look at our nation, and you know where they're coming after your freedom next? Is in the banking sector, the financial dollar. We're losing our place around the world. We're losing our status as the world's reserve currency. I was the first candidate, you know, truth matters here, right? So I was the first candidate to bring out the pipeline issue back in August. And I called on every single candidate then. I will hand it to Vivek. He followed suit in that. And this is important, that there is something about this Republican Party that can't stand up for what's right. Because the Bible says this, righteousness exalts a nation. What does that mean? It means it lifts it up. And when we do the right thing by the Constitution, we will have our nation back again. The other thing real quickly, for a few minutes, we have to get right. And this is what I believe. Because as I've gone all over Iowa, I've sensed a lack of faith in America again. You know, only 2 out of 10 believe that the United States government's going to do the right thing on most issues today. That's a recent poll, 2 out of 10. 38% of America right now today feels that patriotism is a very important thing in America. 38%, that's an all-time low. The number one word to use to describe the United States of America today is, you know what? Divided. I had a chance to speak with someone this week, and he said, Ryan, I've heard from every candidate. He said, something's missing. I want to ask you this. In our country, is something missing to you? And something in every candidate. Is something there? You like a lot of things, but is something missing? I could go one by one. You know what? I said, that's why I'm in this race, because I've sensed this for 20 years now. Something's missing. And I want to share with you what I see is missing. What's missing is we don't have a Republican candidate that's standing up for your children's financial future by saying this, I will pay back the debt of the United States of America. I will balance the budget in 7 years. I will save the US dollar. I will stop spiraling inflation, and I'll create an economy where your kids and grandkids don't have to live at home until they're 30 years old. They'll be able to have a future and financial independence. I will stand, and I believe that. You've heard the debates. Tell me which candidate has said, I'm going to balance the budget. Why have we forgotten to do that? It's been since Ronald Reagan that we had a president even speak to the matter. We are ruining our future because of this. I am standing against the government involved in healthcare. I'm the first one coming up with a Republican-led transformation healthcare plan that ends the monopolies in insurance companies, big pharma, which is destroying our economy. Big pharma today, we give patent extensions, our federal government. In return, they give presidents, Republicans and Democrats, money to keep giving them patent extensions. As a result, we spend 3 times as much as everybody else. I'm running to refine healthcare, reform it completely, and make it affordable for you and your children. I'm running to bring, I will say this, an alternative to socialism in urban America. It's time that we stop asking people that are poor in our country to believe our message without giving them a reason to do so. Mr. Hurley's here today. His family stands, I think, as one of the greatest examples I've seen in America of showing a compassionate, loving way, a God-giving way of helping those in need through education and helping the most vulnerable in our society. And it's not a government-run program. It's a biblical-led program called Loving Your Neighbor, and that's what I'm about. We can change the culture of our country. I want to change education through vocational skills, Volunteers America, and get America back. I'm telling people, listen, it's time to have faith again. Stand for what you believe in and don't give up. One of my first journeys here in Iowa, I was on our way to a pizza ranch, and you guys have been praying for rain this year. Good job, by the way. But we were running a little bit late, and my driver took a shortcut to get to a pizza ranch on time. And we had to go through one of your gravel-y roads to do so. By the way, that's not a great idea. But we got over this road, and then it turned into a dirt road, and then it rained on the other side of the hill. And Lord, we started fishtailing. We gassed it to get up the hill because as far as for miles could see, it was nothing but cornfields. We got about halfway up, and then we slid back down in a ditch. I got out of the car. I'm this much in mud in a suit. I got a big event that night with a lot of people, and I'm like, dear God, how are we going to get out of here? One of my friends walked up the hill, and he found a lady in a white pickup truck about a half mile down the road. She rolled down her window and said, can I help you? Listen to this. She had a friend that had a tractor, and they pulled us out. They got us on time to the event. We're 45 minutes late. But I tell people, this is what I love about Iowa, Iowans. All 12 people stayed at that pizza ranch and heard this story today. I bought the shoes at the shoe store in Shelby County. We contributed to the economy. But listen, this is what I'm telling you today. Faith got us out of the mud. Faith got us unstuck. A woman named Faith. It's going to take faith to get you unstuck out of people going after your landowners. You're going to have to believe in yourselves. You're going to have to believe in the Constitution. And you're going to have to believe in a presidential candidate that's going to stand for your freedom, that's going to get your country back financially, that's going to end government systems and welfare programs. We're going to put people back to work again. We're going to give them creative jobs before we take them on welfare. We're going to love them. We're going to give a Republican alternative to socialism. We're going to stand for freedom again. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to unite our country because this is what's missing. The last time we were united, when was it? When I thought about when did we have it? Was it when our soldiers came back from World War II? When we put the man on the moon? Was it the time when Ronald Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev at that Eastern Berlin Wall, tear this wall down? Was it when, after the tragedy of 9/11, justice was done and bin Laden was killed? But now it's been 20 years of division, 20 years of hatred, 20 years of back and forth. I'm running for the presidency of the United States of America. We can win this race, but we can do it God's way. God's a God of righteousness and justice. And I want to bless you today because so many things have happened great in this hall. Recently, there was something really evil shown in this hall, and I believe that God's name can be great right here in this hall. I'm proclaiming it over you. I'm proclaiming it over Iowa. I'm saying, let's get our nation back. Let's do it the right way. Let's believe again. That's what my campaign's about. I'm asking you to caucus for us. I'm asking you to vote for us. Our pathway to victory is top 4 or 5. We started in 15th place. We made it past a vice president, a governor, a couple billionaires, a senator, a congressman, a mayor of a large city. And I think tonight, another governor's making an announcement. The field's getting narrow. I'm still here, Iowa. I'm still here. Look again, would you? Look at our campaign. God bless you. Thank you very much.